Well, it is back, it is back, it is back. I am talking about Wrestling Man's Retro Review, and this is review lucky number 13. I am Billy Antobi, and this is the only place where I will be reviewing Coliseum home videos. Now, briefly, what is the Retro Review? Well, you, the viewers, get 3 options to pick from. Whichever video gets the most votes is the video that gets reviewed. Now, if you were a little late in either subscribing to my YouTube channel or becoming friends, this is actually the first of 2 video reviews, as in the previous video where I let you guys pick the next video to be reviewed, I made it supersized. What did that mean? Well, basically, you got to pick from 3 videos, you got 2 choices to make. And for this video, I'm starting off with the one that got the most votes, and trust me, folks, when I say that this one was just a complete landslide. I think every person that voted with their 2 votes voted this tape. What tape am I talking about? Well, none other than the villains of the Squared Circle. Yes, and you could tell they're villains by the little hat and the mustache. So anyway, this video is dedicated to the bad guys of professional wrestling. It's hosted by Mean Gene Okerlund with guest stars, yes, guest stars, Bobby the Brain Heenan, King Kong Bundy, and Big John Studd. 3 of the 4 being in the WWE Hall of Fame. Why King Kong Bundy is not in the Hall of Fame right now is beyond me. But anyway, we get our greeting and, blah, blah, blah. Talk about what's going to happen. So, let's get right into it. The opening match of the video is Jake the Snake Roberts, who, at this point in time, is considered the newest member of the group, of the villains of Squared Circle, as he goes up against Scott McGee in Madison Square Garden. And this is a very quick match. Good way to start off this videotape. It ends up with Roberts hitting the DDT, pinning Scott McGee, getting the 3 count, and then, he gets out Damien and puts it over McGee. Then we go to the archives, you could say, from the Showdown in Shea Stadium show from 1980. Tor Kamada goes up against Pat Patterson, Gorilla Monsoon doing the commentary for this particular match. Once again, it's another short match. However, the ending to this one is a bit interesting. Kamada gets, the traditional salt out, and he throws it, and instead of hitting Pat Patterson, it hits the referee. So, Pat Patterson wins as a result of a disqualification for the salt hitting the eyes of the referee. Then we go to our next villain, although at this point in time in 1986, he was not a villain. George the Animal Steele. Now, on this occasion, in 1973, he had an opportunity to become the WWF Heavyweight Champion as he challenged Pedro Morales for the belt. And for a little while in this match, it seemed like George Steele would win the title. I mean, he would bring out his little weapon, sneaked under his tights, and, hit Pedro. But towards the end, Pedro got the advantage, sent George Steele back and forth 3 times to the exposed turnbuckle. Steele ended up bleeding. Referee stopped the match and awards the bout to Pedro Morales. Then we go to a man who, in a way, could be considered a legend in 2 sports. The Big Cat, Ernie Ladd. Ernie Ladd was a football player, not only in the NFL, but mostly in the AFL, and then became a professional wrestler and became probably one of the best big men professional wrestlers of all time. In this match, he goes up against the one and the only Andre the Giant. I mean, there's only one other big guy you got to go up against if you're a big guy at this particular point in time. And they point out how Ernie Ladd, has a taped thumb, and and how it's a lingering injury from football. So we see a couple of minutes of this match, and we do see Ernie Ladd using his thumb in this match. Ending is a little bit different from today, but, considering the time and the place and where we are now, this is not an unusual ending, where Andre actually went for the big splash. Ladd rolled out of the way and then just decided to walk out and leave, so Ernie Ladd was counted out. Then we go to our next villain, Captain Lou Albano. Although, like I said with George Steele, in 1986, Lou Albano was not a heel, but they do have footage of him as a heel, or as a villain. In this case, he's going up against Gorilla Monsoon. This is one of those sort of like last-minute added matches, like bonus matches to a show. And there's really no way that Lou Albano was going to win this match against Gorilla Monsoon. The match ends with Albano being sent to the ropes. Monsoon chops him like 3 times. He goes over the top, and Albano just struggles his way back to the dressing room, and Gorilla Monsoon wins. Then we see a quick, 2 or 3 minute package of Stan Stasiak in tag team action, and, well, that's really about it of Stan Stasiak. So then we go to sort of a mini profile of the Magnificent One, Don Muraco. As they're introducing him, they show highlights of a match between him and Pedro Morales. And then we see a non-title match against S.D. Jones. And this is when Muraco was Intercontinental Champion at the time. And, yeah, a lot of us, we've seen S.D. Jones in matches, and he does lose a lot of matches. But in this particular one, this is Jones's best outing, as far as on videos are concerned. Almost picks up a win in this match, but Muraco figures a way out to win. And then we get a clip from the TNT show where Muraco was talking about Ricky Steamboat, how he likes to hang with beautiful blondes, blue-eyed girls, and how Muraco's got fat slobs, that would make the women that Steamboat hang out with ugly. It's weird. And then we go to the clip of the end of a match between Mr. Fuji and Ricky Steamboat. Steamboat gets a win with a schoolboy. And what's very interesting is, he goes out and, shakes the fans' hands. And there's this little girl who somehow gets through the barricades to try and, get a hug or shake hands with Steamboat. And to think about it, 1985 to today, if that little girl goes through there in 2011, she and probably the entire family would get thrown out of the arena, but that's not the case. So after Steamboat, gets the win, Muraco breaks a chair behind the back of Ricky Steamboat and attacks him, and that's that. Then we get another mini profile, this time on the one and only Rowdy Roddy Piper. We get a couple of clips from his Piper's Pits, with 2 of the most famous ones, Frankie Williams and the obvious one, the one with Jimmy Snuka and the coconut. And then we see a clip from the TNT show where Roddy Piper slaps Alfred Hayes. And then we go back to the TNT show with him and Lou Albano. This was where at the beginning of the time Albano was turning into a babyface, and Piper knocks Albano completely out of that chair, flips him backwards. And then we see Piper interviewing Mr. T, which ends up into a fight. And then we see some highlights of Roddy Piper in the ring, including making Andre the Giant bleed, refusing to tag in his partner in a tag match, and then, beating up Jimmy Snuka in a match and going after the referee, who ended up being the legendary Lou Thez, in that one. So then we go to a quick bit of footage of Randy Savage against Tito Santana, winning the Intercontinental title from Santana in the Boston Garden. A eventually I'm going to have to cover that in another review. I'm not going to say soon, but down the line it's going to happen. So I'll skip that for now. Then we go to Terry Funk, who makes his debut in the WWF at this particular footage. He goes up against Aldo Marino. Now, before the match, the ring attendant, who ends up being Mel Phillips, who, if you remember, was one of the ring announcers on Wrestling Challenge. He was the black guy. Phillips takes his stuff and he puts Terry Funk's hat on his head. And that pisses off Terry Funk. Terry Funk kicks his ass. And, Terry Funk is Terry Funk. He beats up Marino. Actually, Aldo Marino does get a couple of seconds worth of advantage. But, it's Terry Funk, so Funk went over. Then we go to the Iron Sheik against Corporal Kirshner. Madison Square Garden. This one's a bit interesting because it's Iron Sheik against Corporal Kirshner. It just seemed a little weird. I mean, maybe could have had somebody different, maybe Nikolai Volkov, but they went with the Iron Sheik. I have no problem with Iron Sheik. Match ends when Kirshner is thrown on the outside. Nikolai Volkov hits him with the cane a couple of times. Referee catches him. That's it. After the match, Sheik and Volkov double team on Kirshner, only for Kirshner to get a steel chair and chase both men to the back. And then the finale of this video, as it was called, the the worst deeds, of professional wrestling. Starts off with the Manager of the Year segment where Bobby Heenan loses the award to Lou Albano. Bundy and Studd attack Hillbilly Jim while Bobby Heenan's breaking the trophy. Then we go to Toronto. Big John Studd faces Andre the Giant. Studd gets a little bit of his hair cut, not too much. And then here comes King Kong Bundy into the ring. They double team Andre. They break his sternum in the storyline. Andre gets 4 splashes from King Kong Bundy, which really, think about it from today's standpoint, at any standpoint, taking 4 splashes from a guy like King Kong Bundy, you got to be pretty tough to take that. And then we go to Saturday night's main event, where Bundy attacks Hulk Hogan, which leads up to the main event of WrestleMania 2. Hogan has his ribs cracked. Bundy and Muraco are double teaming him. Bundy hitting the avalanche and the big splash. And, that basically sets up, like I said, the main event to WrestleMania 2. And then the finale. One of my... action-wise, this is one of my favorite moments. But commentary-wise, I don't like this, if you don't know this by now. It's the tag match, Big John Studd and Ken Patera against Andre the Giant and SD Jones. The match where Andre gets his hair cut. And Vince McMahon, now remember, this is 1984. Vince McMahon uses the words, they are raping the dignity of Andre the Giant by cutting his hair. He says, raped the dignity, 4 times in that part. And it still offends me in a way, you couldn't have used a better word, than rape. Rape the dignity of Andre the Giant. But they cut, Andre's hair. We get to see both Studd and Patera holding the pieces of hair from Andre the Giant. So, what did I think of Villains of the Squared Circle? This is a good tape. This is a fun tape to watch. My only complaint or two about this, number one, there isn't enough Freddie Blassie on here. If the title of your video is Villains of the Squared Circle, where in the world is Classy Freddie Blassie? He should have been on there a lot more than that one match. And I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of Randy Savage on this. Yeah, I know Savage hadn't been in the WWF, a full year, but, he should have gotten a little bit more time than just him winning the Intercontinental title against Tito Santana. Those are my only complaints. But other than that, this is a very good video. I really suggest, if you're looking to watch fun videotapes, you know, or if you like the bad guys, if you like the heels, definitely get Villains of the Squared Circle. This is a good tape. Now, either tomorrow or Thursday, you're going to get the other retro review that was voted upon. And at the end of that video, I'm going to make a little announcement about Wrestling Man's Retro Review. It's not going to, I mean, like, I'm not canceling it. I'm not going to stop it. But, well, you'll find out what it is come tomorrow or Thursday. So, that does it for me for yet another edition of Wrestling Man's Retro Review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And like I say, if you want to find them, just go to either eBay or Amazon to find these very good, classic Coliseum home videos. Until next time, this has been Wrestling Man's Retro Review.